Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and welcome back to this next video, and this is the 20th video in the series of videos on immunology. And in this particular video I want to focus on the two arms of the immune system. One is known as the innate immunity and the other one that is known as the adaptive immunity. So first I'm going to talk about the innate immunity. Now this innate immunity is the body's first line of defense, and it is sometimes referred to as the non-specific immune system. And the reason is that the response of the innate immune system or the innate immunity is the same to all of the pathogens. Therefore, this is known as the non-specific immune system. If you talk about this innate immunity, like there can be two subcomponents of the innate immunity. One is known as the blood-borne component. The other one is known as the physical barriers. So first we will see about this blood-borne component of the innate immunity. Now if you talk about this blood-borne component, like there are soluble proteins, for example, the complement cascade is one of the important blood-borne component of the innate immunity, and it contains a variety of the proteins like the C1, the C2b, the C3, the C5, the C6, C7, C8 and C9. Now if you talk about the other component or the other subcomponent of this blood-borne, they are known as the phagocytes. And in the phagocytes there are like neutrophils, the macrophages, the basophils, the eosinophils, the natural killer cells, and the combined action of these blood-borne components of the innate immunity that actually leads to the direct killing of the pathogens. So these are the two main components of the blood-borne component of the innate immunity, the complement cascade and the phagocytes. Now is this phenomena is like the same for all of the pathogens, therefore we call this innate immunity is the non-specific immunity. The other component of the innate immunity, like the physical barriers, if you talk about these physical barriers, like there can be the skin, the mucous membranes, the saliva, like the flushing action of the tears and urine. And if you talk about the stomach acid, they are actually the physical barriers, and they are one of the subcomponent of the innate immunity. And the like action of this physical barrier is that they are actually stopping the infection before it enters into the body. So the skin is working as a barrier for the entry of the pathogenic microorganism, for example, or the mucous membrane again is acting as a barrier for the entry. So these physical barriers, they are actually stopping the infection before it enters into the body. But if they enter into the body, the blood-borne component of the innate immunity like that is working to directly kill these pathogens by utilizing the complement cascade and the phagocytes. The second arm of the immunity, that is known as the adaptive immunity, it is also known as the acquired immunity, it is also known as the specific immunity, and this is actually a type of the immunity that build up as we are exposed to diseases or we get vaccinated. So this kind of the immunity is a specific one. Say for example, if you are getting a vaccine against a particular pathogen, so the immunity is going to develop against that specific pathogen. Therefore we call this adaptive immunity is the specific immunity. If you talk about the subcomponents of the adaptive immunity, they can be like T cells, which is also known as the cell-mediated immunity. So the cell-mediated immunity, they are going to use like different type of the T cells. The other component of the adaptive immunity, that is known as the B cells, and the immunity that is provided by the B cell is also known as the humoral immunity. I have detailed discussion on that in my first videos, so you should refer back to them to understand the concept of the humoral immunity and the cell-mediated immunity. If you talk about these T cells, so the main types of these T cells, one is known as the suppressor T cells, the other one they are known as the helper T cells, and the third type of the T cell, they are known as the cytotoxic T cells. So as this kind of the immunity is mediated by the cells, therefore we call this as the cell-mediated immunity. And the end result of the T cells, for example, the cell-mediated immunity is that, say for example, if there is a virally infected or if there is a damaged cell, so these T cells that actually help in the clearance of those particular cells from the body. If you talk about this B cell or about this humoral immunity, so what happens is when there is exposure to the antigen, the immune system get exposed to the antigen, and the B cells, they are going to they are going to get converted into a specific type of the cell, I would say, and those particular type of the cell are known as the lymphoblasts. And these lymphoblasts are actually enlarged lymphocytes that has been activated to divide. Once the antigen exposure is there, the lymphoblast formation is there, what happens is that this lymphoblast get divided into two types of the cell. One is known as the plasma cells. These plasma cells, what they are going to do is they are going to make the antibodies to neutralize this particular antigen. And there is another type of the cell which is also made from this lymphoblast, which is known as the memory cells, or they are the clonal B cells. So you have got, say for example, a lymphoblast that is producing specific antibody against a specific antigen. So that is going to get divided into two types. One, the plasma cells, that is going to make these specific antibodies to neutralize the pathogens, but it is also going to make these memory cells. These memory cells are again producing the specific antibody that is produced by this plasma cell. So both of them, they are producing the same antibody, but these are like two different cells in a way that this particular cell is going to make the memory. And once, say for example, your body get exposed to the antigen again, so this the whole process of the generation of diversity, that is not going to happen again, because you've already done that for this particular pathogen. So the memory cell again is going to get converted into two types of the cell, the plasma cells and the memory cells. The plasma cell again will make antibodies against the specific antigen, and the memory cell will make the memory. So this is known as the humoral immunity, and this is going to be carried out by the B cells. So this is the end of the chapter 1. There are 20 videos in this particular chapter 1, and all of them, they are introductory. Like say for example, if you look at this particular video where I'm focusing on the innate immunity and the adaptive immunity, I'm only giving you names. Like I'm giving you the name of the suppressor T cells, the helper T cells, the cytotoxic T cells, the B cells. We are going to have detailed discussion on each and every component of the immunity in detail. But this chapter 1 was just to give you an overview that what kind of the components are there in the immune system and how they function. So if you like the video, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, do comment on my video and share it with your friends. And from chapter 2, we are going to dive deep into the different components of the immune system.